Shalom Yashrala, this is your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders, a great millstone that taught us this truth and never will. Salutation and much love for you, Akim, pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth, and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to jump into this here. It's two actual articles I wanted to jump into, kind of speaking of the same thing. All right, but hey, as we see, prophecy is how do I say, being fulfilled. It's shaping up to come to its its full full visualization, or its full potential, more let's just say. All right, because we know and understand about how scriptures speak about how the beast shall hate the whore. All right, but look, as we starting to see these things, all right, is every little small meticulous move that's being made, all right, going again into men's going is of the Lord, and the Lord's, or the how does it go? It says the roughly paraphrasing, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. He turneth it whithersoever he will. All right, we see that all these different moves that these so-called world leaders are making, and you got to watch yourself with getting caught up with certain of these things where people look at these politicians and speak about how dumb they are and what they're doing and everything. You have to understand that the Most High is the one that's controlling these people, man. All right, the scriptures speak about how, at the end all be all, Esau is going to get caught into his own schemes, his own downfall, his own snare or trap that he set. He's going to be the one that falls into it. All right. And so as we see, ultimately this is a beautiful picture of how Esau is about to be led into World War III. All right. How he's deceived these other nations and tricked them into, the scripture also speak about that these the 10 horns gave their power over to the beast. All right. But nevertheless, as how Esau tricked these other nations by feeding them that Babylonian juice, the nations have drinking for a while, and therefore the nations are mad. The fact of the matter is, they bought into this, all right, trusted Babylon the Great. Babylon the Great that led them down this here dark path, all right, which is crushing their economies, getting their people all up in the uprouse and everything else like that, all off of their vain philosophies and their laws and everything else like that. But at the same time, like Obadiah speaks about all your allies going to deceive you, promising you peace while plotting to destroy you. All right, this is the same thing that you have going on. So as we get closer and closer to the end of these things, in which we know all these things again is working together for Esau's plan, of bringing in that factory reset button, when it comes to when you're looking at these economies collapsing and everything else like that. So hey, we know that all these things is building up for what? The day of the Lord. All right, like the scriptures say, when he's about to fill his belly, then the Most High is going to rain it down upon him. All right, he's not going to, he disappointed the device of the crafty, so his hands cannot perform his enterprise. All right, this new world order that he's trying to get accomplished, all right, by way of what? The scriptures also speak about Esau was going to have dominion of the whole earth, all right, and, he was going to get it by way of the sword, all right. So, hey, the scriptures say, by thy sword shalt thou live. So, hey, we see that Esau is going to try to go through this here thing, and bringing out World War III and everything else like that. But ultimately, all these things is bringing what? His ultimate demise, bringing him into what? A head-to-head contact with Yahushua. Scriptures speak about how, if no flesh was to be able to be saved, or if time wouldn't be short, no flesh would be saved. All right, speaking into, as bad as how Esau has things nowadays, hey, man, we got to get up out of here. But, hey, this is forcing Esau to speed up his agenda and his deal as well, too. Now, looking at these two articles, just looking at on the carnal side, because we know spiritually, like I just broke down, we already know what the end game is going to be, all right? The Most High's will is going to stand, all right? But yet, dealing into a more carnal sense, because you have all these people talking back and forth about, the propaganda about this here, Russia's out-of-date weaponry and everything else like that, and how Russia has an inferior military against Ukraine's far vast military and everything else like that, and how much more. Like, look, bro, you have to realize that Russia's not using their whole military to fight Ukraine. All right, this is just I always put it like what the American military. You got your Army, Navy, Marines. You have what is it, the Air Force. All right, we're not going to speak about the Space Force, but just the Army, Navy, Marines, and Air Force, right? Then inside of them, you got like your Army Rangers. You got your Navy SEALs. All right, so you got these special forces that's inside of them as well, too. All right, but then you also have the Coast Guard and the National Guard, right? Then, if you know about certain of these things, and depending on what high school you went into, you got your JROTC. All right, you got some high school students wearing some military outfits, right? and all they doing is marching around. It's like taking your JROTC team to go fight a war against another nation. It's like, well, I mean, they're not really real soldiers or nothing like that. Granted, the troops that they are using in Russia are actual soldiers, but it's like us using our reservists, the Army Reserve or the National Guard, you know what I'm saying, trying to fight a war. It's like, well, you got a whole military, you're using the Army Reserves when you got a whole army to use, and not just to mention the Army, you got the Navy, Marines, and the what do you call them, the Air Force and all, and the Coast Guard and all of them to use as well too. All right, but yet and still, and this is what you have to understand about this here propaganda, man. All right, they'll tell you certain things on one newscaster, but then when you look at the rest of the stuff, like the proof of what they actually saying, you'll see what's really going on here. Because who the hell is backing Russia in this scenario? All right, nobody's backing Russia as far as giving them all these different things and supplies and everything else like that. But Ukraine, who is backing Ukraine? All right, this is one of the things that some of you Americans are starting to get pissed off with. The fact of the matter is that America keep writing these blank checks into, which this is the other article we're going to get into. All right. Matter of fact, let's just touch on that real quick. Well, here's one right here. Germany to miss NATO spending target. All right, Berlin has, however, managed to embark a $10.5 billion to buy American F-35 fighter jets, Bloomberg. All right, so, they was talking about spending more money into NATO, all right, for, the NATO recipients and things like that. But, hey, you have nations that can't afford these things because they are economically already, hell, Germany was in this position when Donald Trump was in office. So this was before even you had this Ukrainian situation pop off. All right, now how much more you think in the economic condition you think Germany is in after the Nord Stream 2 pipeline was never certified? They didn't blow up the Nord Stream 1 pipeline. They got these sanctions on Russia and everything else like that. So hey, their economy is even more collapsing, right? Now here's one right here. All right, because like I said, you got to think about it. Who's backing and arming Russia? Nobody's backing and arming Russia, right? Russia's fighting it out on their own with a small portion of their military versus the Ukraine, who is being backed by not only America, but NATO itself. All right, so you got NATO sending Ukraine all these weapons, all right, training soldiers and everything else like that, just giving them a quote-unquote unlimited supply run, all right? It's like you playing a damn video game with somebody and they got 3 bullets left, all right, and you got like 7 guys on your squad left, and y'all all got unlimited ammo. 1 shot, 1 kill. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got all this shit stuff on the other side, and this other dude just still take all y'all out, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, this is what you have going on. All right, and the truth of the matter is, let's read a little bit of this. It says, Pentagon may run out of money for Ukraine. All right, it says, and again, this is going into this. Well, I'll just kind of go over it real quick. All right, they got the spending, how you call it, them budgets, the, what is it, fiscal budget. Where is it at? All right. It says Congress has until December 16 to pass a full-year defense stopgap bill known as Continuing Resolution, or CR, as Republicans and Democrats debate appropriations. However, the resolution will cut the Pentagon funding by $29 billion or 3.7% compared to what the White House requested for fiscal year 2023. This means that the Department of Defense would have to put a halt to key projects, including aid to Kiev during the conflict with Russia. Now, going into, let's read down further. It says Michael McCord, the Pentagon's chief financial officer, was quoted as saying on Saturday that the U.S. would have problems sending new munitions to Ukraine as the funds marked by Kiev will run out in spring. It says Ukraine is in a kinetic fight, and we are their number one helper. If they run out of ammo, it's a bad place. So you can think about that, man. All right, if they run out of ammo, because they're the ones that's supplying them, all right, they're in a bad place. Now, why is it not only, see, America, they got, the spending budget and everything else like that. But, I mean, they could print up more money and everything. But when you look at some of these other nations that are having the same issue, all right, the issue comes in is they can't even develop arms fast enough. All right, like, damn, bro, like, we ain't used to just, like, over the years, we might, let's just say, build so many of these so-called howitzers, right? Let's say, every year we can build 100 of them, you know what I'm saying? Because we don't really use them. We're not really going to war like that every day. So, I mean, we got, over the last 10 years, we was able to amount of up to 1,000. But then all of a sudden in this year, we had to go and ship 1,000 of them out. Like, bro, it took us 10 years to get them 1,000, you know what I'm saying, produced. So, like, it's going to be another 10 years before we get some more. So we running up out of our own arms to protect our own self. So this is one issue that you're having with a lot of these different nations as far as sending weapons over to Ukraine. Also, some of these nations, they can't afford to keep not just pouring money into Ukraine, but pouring money into NATO and NATO spending. All right, is a so-called membership fee. All right, it's like let's just say, for instance, you got a Sam's Club membership fee, and you got to pay for that. You can't afford the membership fee. All right, it's like, well, if I can't afford the membership fee, I can't damn sure can't afford nothing inside the store. So the hell with all this, man. All right, but then you also have people like let's read this other article real quick. It says France, and this is going into the same scenario. All right, so it says, and what I could think of is in Habakkuk, how it's, in Lord's will we'll get to it, and how they say, how long to him that laid it himself with thick clay. How long can you go along with these things? Well, as we read this here article, they basically saying, bro, we about tapped out over here, man. We've exhausted all of our funding and everything. Hell, in America, man, these people is more worried about what the hell is up in the news this week and that week. The Kanye situation, and you got some, which that's going into, Jake, starting to wake up and at least get a rift of what we talking about. But you got a lot of other BS's going on in America that people was talking about, with these these demons over at these certain clothing brands and everything else like that. We can't talk about them either. But nevertheless, you know what it is, what these people is doing to all these people's children and grandchildren. But anyway, people aren't really noticing the things that's going on behind the scenes. Like, hey, man, your food's going up, gas is going up, housing going up. You losing jobs, having all these massive layoffs. You also have these crypto things that's destabilizing the economy and everything else like that. All at the same time, sending money over to the Ukraine, sending more and more money. It's like a bottomless pit over there. Like, well, if the Ukraine was winning and everything over there, what the fuck we got to keep sending them weapons and everything else like that for, man? All right, if you had everything under control and everything was all good, why am I still spending you more and more money? It's like me saying, hey, look, I need this here repair done to my house or something like that. Let's say, my car or something like that. Oh, okay, so how much is it going to cost to get the car fixed? Oh, well, to get a new tire, you got a flat tire. To get a new tire, the tire might cost you $1.50, right? All right, so I give you $1.50 to go get the tire fixed, and then I'm like, yo, the car done? Yeah, it's going to cost another $200. Another $200 for what? I just need another $200 for it. All right, I can get another $200. Come back. Oh, it's gonna be another $500. Like, bruh, $500 on top of the $200 plus the $1.50 I done gave you already. Like, what's going on? I thought you knew what was the problem. I thought you knew how to fix it and everything else like that. Apparently, you didn't know what the problem was. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's obvious. It's the damn tire is flat. But now we got all these. You just spending more and more money. I can see how much the tire costs. I mean, but if you was doing a job like you was supposed to be doing, it would only cost $1.50. But now we over here spending $700-800 on this scenario. That's leading me to know that you don't really know what the hell you got going on over here, man. So hey, people should be asking in their right state of mind, like if Ukraine is winning the war and Russia's so out of date with all their stuff, the fuck they over here needing all this here extra money for? Why they need all these extra arms? How come they can't just beat them? Like, because it's not Ukraine, little old Ukraine by themselves fighting Russia. All right, you got a whole NATO and the EU, or America and NATO and the EU fighting against Russia, man. All right, and ain't nobody's got Russia's back at this, and Russia ain't even using their full force. But nevertheless, hey, you see what's going on here. All right, so it says France must change course on Ukraine, ex-president candidate. Now, and also listen to the sentiment that these people have been saying now. Emmanuel Macron has been saying this from day one. He's like, look, we got to be diplomatic. We can't just be talking all off at the mouth like that. And we're not going to really take no side in this. Like, we kind of like not really with the smoke right now because we know what this is going to do to our economy. So it says the EU needs to avoid suicide from dragging itself deeper into conflict. All right, Nicholas Dupont says, we'll just refer to him as Dupont. It says France must act as a mediator between Ukraine and Russia instead of imposing sanctions on Moscow. Now, listen to now, if you don't know and understand how this works, France, being a part of the EU, right, the European Union, but also a part of NATO, right, which is the military bloc, but what does it stand for? North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Now, in which, in the scriptures, you speak about the whore that wrought upon the beast. The beast would be NATO and the EU, whereas the whore is being America. Right now, they're in league with one another. All right, NATO is sometimes they might even use it in this here article where it says the U.S. led NATO bloc. All right, being that the U.S. is running all this. So now, everybody, when America say, this is why I say the whore that wrought upon the beast. When America say jump, these other nations say how high. Right, but now there's a different tone that's coming out of these people's mouth now. Now, before whatever America say we're gonna go do, that's what these nations was gonna go do. They was not questioning. Now all of a sudden they starting to question what the hell are we doing this here for? What's going on with these situations? Why such and so forth, right? So it says France must act as a mediator between the Ukraine and Russia. All right. Now, first of all, with just that, being a mediator between the Ukraine and Russia, America is in fact, they kind of seems like they're so-called breaking ties from not going and imposing everything that Ukraine is going with, because Ukraine, or Zelensky, we'll refer to Ukraine as Zelensky, all right, because there's a difference between the population and the niggas that run that shit, right? Just like over here in America, you got people that be running the damn nation that 99.9% of these Americans do not agree with. Like, bro, we don't fuck with that nigga like that. We is not on the type of time. This nigga's on this type of time, and all of us is on a whole nother type of time. But that dude do not represent the whole of us out here, man. All right, but nevertheless, we'll refer to him as Zelensky, but Zelensky them said we ain't negotiating with Russia. We ain't gonna stop until we see a full destruction of them, right? And that's pretty much what America is. That's their stand. That's their secret stance, because that's what they doing. You understand NATO and what NATO was there for, and what the hell, and the bigger pictures of what's going on. They trying to take over Russia. All right, this is what Zelensky is saying. But hey, France being an American ally and everything, they're saying, look, bro, we need to negotiate. This don't end well for nobody, right? So what the fuck is going on? And we over here suffering, bro. Like, what the hell? We're not all finna just commit suicide just because, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a pride pissing contest, man. See who can hold their breath the longest underwater, man. Now y'all both finna just fucking drown because y'all just got too much pride, man. All right. So it says France must act as a mediator between the Ukraine and Russia instead of imposing sanctions on Moscow. So two things: defiance of America, trying to mediate between them, and then also trying not to put sanctions on Russia. All right, and also sending weapons to Kiev. All right, so they ain't trying to send no weapons to Kiev. They ain't trying to put sanctions on Russia. All right, and they trying to get a peace deal between the two. All right. It says he also criticized Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky and urged Europe to avoid becoming mired in the conflict. So again, they now speaking. Now you have, again, you got to understand, Zelensky, right? We'll call Ukraine Zelensky. Zelensky is only talking shit because he's got smoke up his ass that was blown up there by America, like America doing Taiwan right now. Hey, man, fuck them niggas, man. If they gonna say something, we got your back. If they gonna do something, we ain't gonna let shit happen to you. And then look what's happening over there. But see, you got this dude Zelensky who's been propped up in front of the world, so now he's gonna look like a super. He's lost in the sauce as well too. He's gonna keep pushing. But like I said, this is all spiritual because this is all prophecy being fulfilled. But, in a carnal sense, you're like, look, bro, we're going to wake up and be wise. We don't want the smoke. Fuck that. We're going to all put our pride to the side because fighting this here war, we found out is bankrupting us. We didn't have enough money to go to war to begin with. Speaking as the EU, and we'll just say the EU. We didn't have the amount of money to go to war with y'all motherfuckers like that. Anyway, right? Second of all, we don't really see no problem with Russia, bro. We get our resources from Russia. We don't get no resources from y'all. And if we do, y'all charging us 4 times the amount for it. So these nations are starting to wake up to these things, right? So it says France should distance itself and assume the role of arbiter, because the objective of Zelensky is no longer to defend Ukraine. All right, that's how they got him with that Babylonian juice. Oh, we just trying to. Russia's the big bad guy who invaded these sovereign nations and doing all this. Oh, they're the boogeyman. They're this and that. Now the smoke didn't clear and realize, man, going back 2008, 2014, America been over here propping this shit up from Jump Street, man. With Biden and his kids and everything else like that going into this situation, bro, there's a lot of things that, they ain't even reported on the mainstream media news. It's just that most people ain't connecting the dots together, even though they flat out tell you what the hell is going on with this here stuff. Even though they'll flat out tell you, like, well, look, Russia's red line was the fact that they putting weapons in Ukraine, and they amassing troops up on their border, and they trying to get them to be a part of NATO, which is on Russia's doorstep, which is a big no-no. Right, you know what I'm saying? It's like, just to look up the Cuban Missile Crisis and why America was mad and why Cuba is in the same position. If you feel like America was, or Russia was in the wrong for doing what they was doing, then how you gonna justify what America did to Cuba, what they still up under even to the same day? All right, but nevertheless, that was a pretty clear red line. But then, they'll tell you that that's what happened, but then at the same time they have you to believe, oh, Russia just invaded because Putin's the boogeyman. But continuing on, it says France should distance itself and assume the role of arbiter, because the objective of Zelensky is no longer to defend Ukraine, but to be an instrument of destruction of Russia by sacrificing his people, right? And that ain't even his people over there. This nigga is a plant. He's an agent of America, all right? They're willing to sacrifice another group of people. So this is why when we read in Habakkuk, where it says he's gathered unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people, All right, they're not trying to reign side by side with these folks and kumbaya and we all gonna just get along and what does that shit say? Whatever that little song was, Kumbaya, I guess it is. You know, they're not getting together and saying all that. They're like, nah, man. They gathering unto them all these people to do what? To reign over top of them and steal their resources. This the whole reason and purpose of them going over there. That's what they want. Just look back to Iraq and Afghanistan and all that extra shit that they did over there. They didn't go over there to help them damn people out over there. They went over there to take their resources, man. All right, they didn't give a damn about them people. And the same thing going on over here with Ukraine. And if you could look at a map of resources and things like that and how the global economy runs, like we can see here, like even in this here article, they talking about certain of these things, but how all of Europe, you know what I'm saying, that they have a life support, which is Russia, that Russian natural gas that's coming from over there. All right, without that, them niggas is gonna just die off, man. All right, they're gonna have a harsh winter. All right, they're gonna bankrupt themselves trying to heat their damn homes and run energy and keep businesses up and afloat and running. They ain't got enough money for that shit, man. All right, so let's just say this goes on 2 or 3 years like this with the sanctions on Russia. Hey, Europe, as you know, will collapse of financial collapse anyway, man. All right, 3 years of this going on, and they would financially collapse themselves, man. So, hey, how you think that they thinking about these things right now? Promising you peace, but plotting to destroy your ass, man. All right. It says, let me just jump down. It says, this is a time to make peace and to find compromise between the two sides and calm Zelensky down, the politician said, and adding that it is time to avoid the suicide of Europe. So again, you're looking at why, you know, he heapeth unto him all people. All right, never satisfied, never keep it at home. All right, it says, and adding that it is time to avoid the suicide of Europe. Why would this be a suicide to Europe? Like I said, they need that energy that's coming from Russia. All right, so hey, Babylon is thinking, well, fuck that. If we can get Ukraine, all right, what we can do is this is like America, right? It's like, all right, fuck it. We can't steal all. Let's say you Russia. Fuck it. We can't steal all of America. But what we can do, we can steal Texas. Texas got that oil over there, baby. If we could just get Texas, we'd be good to go. Fuck America, man. Y'all can have the rest of America. We just want Texas because we can get the oil from about the ground over there and then the hell with the rest of y'all. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, this is what America's over here doing. You know, there's multiple folds, but you got, you know, the resources down in the Ukraine, those pipelines they run off over there, you know, what they call them, the Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipelines, which they run around Ukraine. But, you know, well, in fact, there was one of those pipelines that was running through Ukraine, all right, from Russia and everything, but they had to pay money for it, man. All right, but America's saying, nah, we want it all. All right. It says, I am not legitimizing Russian aggression. I am simply saying that today, the two forces are in the process of exhausting themselves, and Europe is in the process of sinking alongside them, and that's actually a fallacy. Russia, I mean, yeah, granted, Russia, you could say economically is taking a hit and everything else like that, but in the long run, they're gonna bounce back. All right, it's just like, well, look, you know, yeah, we holding out right now, you know, and we ain't making nobody really trading with us and this and that. But at the end all be all, once y'all collapse, y'all gonna come begging because y'all ain't got no money right now to goddamn keep buying that American oil at 4 times the price. So eventually y'all gonna, this is where it goes into, you know, the beast is gonna want to paint the whore. All right, while promising you peace, they're plotting to destroy you. Because in the same breath, it's like, look, bro, we can't, as Europeans, we can't afford to keep buying this American oil at 4 times the price. So if we even do decide to, let's say to Russia, you know what I'm saying? Let's say they just stop buying that American natural gas and they go to Russia. It was like, fuck, you know, we've been paying all this here money. Like, look, we're going to have a better deal on this here stuff, man. We're going to have you know, at a cheaper price, man. All right. So it's only, you know, Russia is going to make money regardless because they got the resource, you know, supply and demand. They got the resource that everybody else needs. It's like working inside of a goddamn drought. Like, look, yeah, there's a drought coming. Everybody else is selling their product at a super high price, you know what I'm saying, or a certain price, and then or selling their shit for super cheap right now. And I got mine super high right now. Eventually, ain't nobody buying from me right now. But eventually, when all these other niggas run out, then guess what? These niggas that's fucking dope fiends and hooked on this shit, they're addicted to this. They need this to survive. They're going to pay whatever price it costs them to pay it, man. They're going to do whatever. You ever see like a crackhead be stealing VCRs and shit like that, man? Why do you think they do that shit, man? They do that because they're in need of that resource, man. So what do you think that these nations is going to wind up doing? We'll read it, but, you know, hey, plotting on America, man. All right? Because they're in the, you know, they like it says, I am not legitimizing Russian aggression. I'm simply saying that today, the two forces are in the process of exhausting themselves. Where Russia, they straight, you know what I'm saying? They can hold out a lot longer. It says, and Europe is in the process of sinking alongside them. So Europe has got to come up with a situation. Hey, do we sink or do we swim? All right. It says, Dupont argued that it is France's duty to defend the sovereign. Argued that it is France's duty to defend the sovereignty of Ukraine, but insisted that Paris should absolutely stop placing economic sanctions on Russia, all right, which is counterintuitive to what America is saying and doing. And it says, and delivering weapons to Ukraine, all right? And this should be done in exchange for a ceasefire. We must come to the negotiation table. Now, this is all, the complete opposite of what America will be having them do right about now. America's saying, nah, fuck that. We're going to have to double down, triple down. Even America running out of money with this here situation. Can't get people to vote for these things. But yet and still, most Americans aren't even with this no more, man. All right? But nevertheless, I'm not going to read no more of this here article. But I just wanted to bring out some of these things, and then we'll touch back on some of these things that I quoted like 4 or 5 times. But let's jump down to Habakkuk 2 and 5. It says, yea, also, because he transgresses by wine, all right, those philosophies that those broken promises and things like that. Yeah, y'all follow it. Because, for instance, you got the situation with Turkey right now, all right, fighting against the Kurds. Right now, Turkey is a NATO member, right? Now, they got what they call Article 5. If one NATO member is attacked, all of NATO comes out to their defense. But in reality, this is why, again, it says the beast that rideth upon the whore, all right, or the whore that rideth upon the beast, Salakia, is in control of that beast. All right, because it's wherever America goes, everybody else has to follow. It's not the other way around. So to give you a prime example of that, the only time Article 5 that I believe was ever enacted where one NATO member was attacked and all of NATO came out to defend it was September 11th. All right, this is where you've seen pretty much all of NATO mount up against so-called terrorists. It wasn't really an official war on any of these countries. Well, I believe they had an official war against Iraq, but other than that, they didn't have an official war against a country. It was like a war, what they call a war on terror. All right. But, going into this scenario, America was so-called attacked by terrorists. All right. And all of NATO mounted up against them. Fast forward till today, you have the Kurds who is being armed and backed by America. All right. The Kurds are attacking not Greece, Turkey. All right. But you don't see the NATO and the EU or NATO coming out to fucking defend it. Right. So this is going all on a one-sided fight. All right, transgressing by that wine, those false guarantees, those false, false promises and false illusions. Now we got to do this to Russia. They're the bad guys and everything else like that. They're encroaching on a sovereign country and everything else like that. We can't. If we don't stop Russia from stealing this here country, they're gonna steal the whole world and everything else like that. When in reality, it's the other way around. Hey, America's own allies are waking up to this here truth. They're starting to see that, hey, look, man, Russia wasn't our problem to begin with. Y'all was the problem. Now we're starting to sober up and start thinking, hey, man, nah, man, it's just like what I say. You're not supposed to be sitting with another man's wife or even drinking with her or nothing like that, right? Because, hey, women is kind of simple. They get all emotional and everything. Y'all get a couple of drinks inside of her. You know what I'm saying? You over here talking to her about her man and shit like that. And he don't even care about you, man. If he really cared about you, he would have bought you the new Birkin bag. He would have got you the new Bugatti. He would have got you the new this. He would have got you the new that. And she and her simple ass mind drinking and shit like that and getting all emotional. Yeah, you right. He don't love me. He don't do this and he don't do that. This nigga over here just trying to gas you up, man. All right, got you all off that Babylonian juice, transgressing by that there wine. Now you done finally sobered up and everything else like that, and you didn't let this nigga hit it and quit it. He done got your resources and about the door. He ain't even calling you back no more. Then ghosted your ass. And then you done did this to your man, and come to find out the whole time your man was providing for you, paying all your bills, doing all these different things, working overtime on top of overtime to provide for your ass, man. But this nigga who just gassed you up with all these feelings and everything else like that, transgressing by that their wine, sold you a lie. But now you starting to sober up and realize you had something good already at home, and now you trying to crawl back to your old man and shit like that. But hey, yesterday's price is not today's price. All right. So now, hey, what do you think that these nations? How you think, given that same example, how you think that woman gonna feel next time she see that man who then so-called quote unquote broke up their relationship? All right. So it says, yea, also because he transgressed by wine, he is a proud man, and neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and his death cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. So, hey, this is what Esau does. It says, and gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. And again, the process of that is what? Stealing these here nations' resources and the things that they got going on. So as we see, this is what's going on with America going for the gusto when it comes time to taking the Ukraine and everything, and keep doubling down, man. All right, where's that at? And it's the next verse. It says, "Shall they not take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, Woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, and how long to him that ladeth itself with thick clay?" All right. So, hey, how long that thick clay, that debt. All right. How long to him that ladeth itself with that thick clay? Now, look, you can't even, get a funding. All right. To, you gotta cut funding for this military budget that you trying to request and everything else like that. Not even about to get that. There's hopes that you can get it, but you still adamant. Hey, we got to double down. We got to double down. We got to double down. We got to send more, 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 more. Meanwhile, your whole economy is collapsing, all right, or has collapsed, all right. You ain't got nobody out here with no real goddamn jobs no more, all right. Everybody was living off of savings. That shit's gone. They was living off of credit. Their credit is all fucked up. Now everybody over here screaming for stimulus checks and PPP loan scams and all kind of crap like that, man. All right, but yet and still, hey, man, America's doing what? It's still bailing out a whole nother country, paying a whole nother country to fight their little battles and everything else like that. But yet here in America, you can't stand up and provide for your own people, man. All right, you got people that's out here, your own vets that's out here starving. All right, homeless, need medical aid and attention and stuff like that. But guess what you doing with your taxpayers' dollars? Sending that shit right over to Ukraine. All right, just so that money could get lost in transit, and you only lining your own people's pockets, man. All right, and even your allies are starting to see these things in. Well, let's read the next verse. Let me go back to 6. It says, "Shall they not take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, Woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, and how long to him that ladeth itself with thick clay? Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booty unto them?" It says, "Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood and for the violence of the land and of the city and all that dwell therein." So, hey, going into this, hey, we even see, let me grab this other precept real quick. I'm going to read this in NLT, Obadiah 1:7. It says, "All of your allies will turn against you. They will help chase you from the land. They will promise you peace while plotting to deceive and destroy you. Your trusted friends will set traps for you and you won't even know about it." And this is the time frame where I believe that we're in right now, where even, it says they will promise you peace while plotting to deceive and destroy you, where it's not really a secret how these people are feeling. All right. Because you had French President Macron speaking about this beforehand. All right, now you got I forgot what he was. It was an ex-president or some shit. This other guy that was just speaking about what they should be doing and everything else like that. Basically, breaking up with Babylon the Great. EU needs to band together for the better of the EU. All right, not worrying about what America got going on, but just do what's best for the EU. All right, because this is basically a suicide for them. So, hey, man, they, it's not just they talking behind closed doors. This is what they speaking out on mainstream platforms. They just hadn't come out and say, look, fuck America, as clear as day like that. But this is what they're planning on doing, man. All right, this is what they're planning on doing. All right, we'll close out with that in Revelation 17 and 16. It says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. All right, so hey, they're gonna wind up like we just read. All the remnant of the people are gonna spoil you because of men's blood and for the violence of the land. All right, for crashing their economies and putting them up against in a bad place against their suppliers of their goods and their needs. All right, hey, these nations are gonna wind up turning on you, man. All right, these nations, this is how you're gonna end up out in World War III alone by yourself. All right, keep going around with these things, and it's funny that as America is being you have that scenario where you got two groups of people. One group of people, this dude is selling the other people out. Hey, man, they doing this and they doing that, and they going all out and everything else like that. And all of a sudden, you starting to see the people on his side getting smaller and smaller. Every once in a while, somebody backing up and leaving off that side, going to the other side. Now you starting to say some questionable shit, and they just like, you know what, bro? Hey, hold up. I ain't even in this fight no more. This nigga took it a little too far. And before you know it, this nigga over here selling all these wolf tickets, and he turn around, he ain't got nobody behind him. And now everybody's looking at him as if, yeah, bro, you still gonna keep that same energy now? Let's see if you still talking about all that same things that you was talking about, But hey, this is how America ends, man. All right, while you people are sitting over here worried about, what's going on in the World Cup, You know what I'm saying? Certain events, all these different things is going on, man. Hey, America's getting left out there from all their allies, for one. All right, America's making more and more enemies out of their friends at the same point in time, man. All right, you know, they're gearing up for the collapse of this here economy, pushing the MOTB. All right, hey, and the scriptures say, when he's about to fill his belly, the Most High shall rain it upon him while he is eating. Gonna rain that fire and brimstone down upon him. So, hey, man, the day of the Lord is getting closer and closer and closer than what we believe, man. All right, but I'm gonna go ahead and close out with that. Lord, when the elect was edified with this here lesson. Until next time, I say, call halal, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua, Bahashim, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, the great millstone, that taught us this truth and that we will. And citation, much love for you. I keep pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Until next time, I say, stay strong. Shalom.